Hey guys, Darren Carr here, coach of Wise Ocean Pods, and welcome back to my round 4 team review in AFL Fantasy. What a disappointing weekend overall in terms of AFL Fantasy. I think teams all across the fantasy community were well down this weekend compared to what we had seen in the last couple of weeks. So, and my team's no different. Scored the 1779 this week. So, my lowest score so far this year, and probably going to be the lowest score that I have potentially for the rest of the year, as the team's only going to get better from here. And this is the last of best 18. So, yeah, pretty disappointing score. Put me out at a round rank of about 30k. So that's, yeah, by far the worst I've had. All my others so far this year have been sort of within that 10k range. So, yeah, definitely far away off of that. And it did drop me back about 750 spots in overall ranking. I was just inside the top 4k last week. And then, yeah, dropped back about 750 spots this week. So, still not a bad position to be in, like, considering I'm in the top 5k after the buys, the early buys, is not a bad position to be. I think when I was looking at rankings and stuff like that, I was only about 250 points off of, sort of being in contention for hats and stuff like that. So it's not the end of the world. I still definitely think there is still a possibility there. Just need to make a few good trades and really need to start, attacking and obviously prioritizing cash gen is still a major priority at the moment, but also trying to get points on field. Now that we are the best back into best 22, we will see some more shifting in ranking a fair bit. So hopefully my team can stay strong and continue to be in this sort of range, and hopefully I don't fall back too much. But here's how my team scored for the weekend. So I'll just quickly go with my +3. It has to go to Jason Horne-Francis this week. I could have given it to a few others, but just because repaying the faith. I put a lot of faith in him that I said I never wanted to trade my premiums. I trust him that this is just what he does. He's going to have these games where he just doesn't perform. He has a bit of a sook. He's still very young. But he absolutely killed it on the weekend, 125. He's now averaging, 86, so not too far off of what we sort of expect from him to average for the year. Yes, he has dropped a little bit in coin. He's dropped 68 coin K so far this year. Did go up the 11 on the weekend, so he is a bit of a target for people this weekend if you are keen on him. But yeah, it's just awesome to see that he has found some form, and hopefully he can continue this sort of form going into the next couple of matches, even though they are a bit tougher against Hawthorn and against Sydney. So yeah, I'm pretty confident with him and happy that he's found some form. On the -3 side of things, it just has to be Joel Frazier. A 44 from a player that is priced at 700k is just deplorable. I can't believe this guy's been compared to Bontempelli sometimes, and yeah, it's just and he's not even in a bad role is the thing. Like, he's getting some inside mid time. He's off the halfback. He's off the half forward. So he's around the stoppages a lot of the time. He's just not finding the ball as much as he should be, and he's just not contributing to the marks or the tackles either. So he is a big problem, and he will definitely be going for me this week as long as we don't get too many injury concerns. There has already been a fair few that's come out, but not too many that has hit my team just yet. It's obviously like Will Days. No, Nathan O'Driscoll is definitely another one that I currently have. Obviously, Rankin is potentially an out this week, but I'll be holding him even if that does happen. Cherry is another risky one that may not play this week, but we'll wait and see what happens there. He should be fine, I would have thought. And there's a few others here and there, but those are the main ones that I can think of off the top of my head. But quickly just going through, player by player a little bit. Nasaya, really disappointing at the end of the day, 91, when considering he was on like 68 at half time. He was flying in the first half. Then he sort of got a bit of attention that Sinclair was receiving in the first half. Either way, nothing. It didn't really help the team overall. It did nothing to the result. So it was disappointing to see him drop off. He just can't handle a tag nearly as much as a Sinclair can. Like, Sinclair was still putting up, 20-point quarters at least, whereas Nasaya had a pretty bad, I think it was a third quarter where he just maybe only had single digit points. So yeah, really disappointing with that. Jaden Short, 97, just doing what he's doing. Happy with him at the moment. He's making a bit of coin. He went up to 18k this week. Break even quite low. So, yeah, he's just doing what he needs to do at this point in time. Roberts is becoming a little bit concerning. Like, he's averaging 90, so I can't be too mad about it at this point in time. But yes, with the likes of Bice playing back there and playing so well, it is probably taking a few points off him. So it's definitely something that I am monitoring over the next couple of weeks because I could move off him shortly. So yeah, be mindful of that. But I think for now, his break even's still okay. That yeah, I'm happy to hold him for this week, particularly especially with a lot of other issues that we need to address. Miles Bergman probably could have got my +3 as well. Obviously, quite lowly owned. He is starting to get up there now. I think he was only 2.6% owned last week, and he's up to 3.6 now. So people are starting to jump on board, but he went up 42k. So that is a very unique cash generator for me. So that is very vital, and yeah, I'm pleased to have him. And he's just playing so well. 113 on the weekend. He was just soaking up all the +6s back there, taking in the set possessions, and also having a few shots at goal as well, which was nice to see. So yeah, he's just playing a nice role back there. Happy to have him. Already spoke about Joel Frazier. He will definitely be one to go. Happy Sam De Koning got to the 84 that he did. Obviously, I was quite concerned with the Stanley coming in and taking that sort of ruck roll away from him, but they were just able to wax back in the defensive 50, and he was able to get amongst that with that 84. Took 9 marks. It wasn't the highest of the team. I think the highest was like 17 marks, and yeah, he went massive, but yeah, happy he was able to do that. He keeps his break even pretty low at 63, so there's potential he can still make a bit of money, but there is concerns that he has to go within the next couple of weeks. If there was no other issues this week, I would potentially be moving on him. But yeah, I think we've got other issues that we need to address, so he may get the likes to stay. Luke Trainer just keeps getting it done. He's making a huge amount of coin at the moment. Went up 60k, so he's not looking to go anywhere anytime soon. We're still with a break even of 5. My captain in Jordan Dawson. I couldn't get his name right for some reason, even though I was just reading it. Scored the 118, and I was so thankful that he got to this score after a pretty shocking first half. I think he was on like 36 points at the halftime. He was just not getting anywhere near the ball, and yeah, just went absolutely ballistic in the second half with like 80 something points. So really glad he got there, and yeah, just is always pretty safe captain option at the best times, and yeah, he's definitely going to be one I consider this week as well against the Cats. And just to quickly touch on my captains, I guess, is I did go the Tom De Koning as my VC on the Thursday night, I think it was. Obviously, hugely disappointing. Just got absolutely manhandled against Darcy Cameron there at Collingwood, and just yeah, didn't score well at all. So yeah, that was his first low score of the year, and goes up against West Coast this week. So hopefully he can bounce back pretty quickly, but I do still have concerns that Pitnet may return this week. Fingers crossed he doesn't. Hopefully he plays in the VFL just to get some match fitness, and that leaves Tom De Koning alone for one more week. Because we have enough issues this week. We do not need a surprise Thursday night team announcement that Pitnet is in, and then we have to be scrambling to potentially jump off Tom De Koning because we know he can be pretty low scoring when Pitnet is in. So yeah, fingers crossed that doesn't happen. But it is West Coast, so it potentially means that we can hold him either way. So keep that in mind. Rosie, another disappointing score with an 84 back to back. Oh, it sort of was expected. I'm not too concerned with that one because he was tagged by Windhager all day, so it is no surprise. It probably could be even worse considering that he had 5 free kicks for just with holding and whatnot. So the umpires were pretty hot on him to allow him to get plenty of touches, so that was nice to see. Started pretty poorly as well. I think he was on like 5 points at the half time, so to get to 84 after that is not too bad of an effort in my opinion. So yeah, not too concerned. He is dropping some coin. People have asked me if I'm concerned about tags coming soon for him. Now that Butters is in, I don't think tags will happen as much to Brosy. I think we'll go to Butters. So no, I'm not too concerned about that. I think still he is a keeper for at least until the mid buys, if not for the year, if depending on how much he can average. Saligo, my trade in at 92, I'm not too uncomfortable with. I definitely should have been more. I won't dive too deep into the Crows being pretty poorly dealt with it by the umpires. You know, his Sligo's dangerous tackle on the boundary on whoever that forward was. I'm trying to think of his name. Can't think of his name right now, but Walters, that's what it was, Walters. That was not a dangerous tackle in the slightest. So that was +4 that he should have had. So that's 7 points that put him to a 99. I would absolutely be flying about that. He's still on 26k. You know, he's got a good matchup this weekend as well. I'm not too concerned about Sligo. He looked good. The role was fine. And I think it was the third or fourth highest scorer for Port Adelaide in a tougher matchup. So yeah, definitely was okay there. Clayton Oliver, 104. Yeah, happy with that. He's just ticking along at that sort of 100 to 5 range. And yeah, that's probably about what we expect him to do. He potentially is the keeper for the year if he keeps averaging at this pace, but he has had some pretty good matchups. We'll see how he goes in some tougher ones coming up. Not in time soon, obviously. He's got a pretty good run for the next 4 weeks, particularly, but then after that, it does become a bit tougher. So we'll wait and see then. But he's making plenty of coins, so he is great. Nathan O'Driscoll has been confirmed that he is now out for 4 to 6 weeks as per the injury list. So he is definitely a trade out. You're not looking to hold him through that. That's just ridiculous. So it is unfortunate because he has been such a good mid-pricer pick so far this year, gone up over 200k, and was coming into such a good run as well. You know, going into Richmond this week, then Melbourne, and even St Kilda, Collingwood next couple of weeks after that isn't too bad, and would have continued to see him rise in coin. He would have thrived in those sort of markets. So really disappointing to see that he's out for that really good stretch. But yeah, he's been a good servant, and I have to say goodbye to him now. It's just going to be a bit tricky to see how I can get him up because he is only at 642k. I think the easiest option for me right now is just a sideways trade him to Marek, who is about 90k cheaper than him, who everyone jumped on sort of last week. So I still like him as an option, but he'll be going this week for me. Levi Ashcroft, just quickly on the rookies, not 82, just doing great. Obviously, it was the nice matchup, so it was expected. But he's just ticking along with his nice score. He's getting up there now with price 541k. He probably still has maybe 100, 120k still to go, depending on what he can average. I still think he averaged around that 70 mark. So he's got a little bit still to make, but not a huge amount. So still got to keep him on the watch list to start moving him on soon. If he can make it to 70 price tag, he's probably priced about 680, so maybe 140k left. But we'll wait and see on that one. Definitely not moving off him just yet. He is definitely one you want on the field. Murphy Reid 53 was probably a bit disappointing, but good time on ground, which was really important. But I guess they did have a lot of injuries they had over the weekend. Obviously, O'Driscoll going down in the last quarter, Luke Jackson as well, and I think there was one other person that was subbed out earlier on. So I do apologize, guys. I have been sick over the weekend, so that's why this video is a little bit later and my voice is going already. So, yeah, Murphy Reid, 53, still making good cash. Got the good matchup this week. Fingers crossed he isn't rested. I have heard whispers that he may get rested for this week, but yeah, I think he should be good to go. He has been playing such good footy and been so impactful. So, yeah, hopefully he can continue to make some good coin with some better matchups coming soon. So I'm confident I'll be able to field him this week. Christian Moraes is probably disappointing in terms of, you know, in comparison to the likes of Bice, Miami Bice over there, who went up over 100k compared to just the 67. But I'm still happy I picked him up because yeah, he's priced quite highly now at 405k. Still good net break even of -6, so he'll be fine. And yeah, his job security looks pretty solid. Ted Closey is becoming a bit of a concern with just back-to-back 40s. He's going to run out of cash very, very quickly with a break-even of 20 now. So it is looking like a bit of a failed trade-in player. I've made probably about 90k from him so far. I think I traded him just over 300k. So yeah, it's not working out entirely. Hopefully he can still hold his spot and can pop a bit of a higher score shortly, like he's shown. But yeah, definitely need something from him shortly. Peter Sullivan will hopefully come back this week. My ruck lineup is where I probably suffered the most this week, which is probably not that bad, I would have thought, because a lot of people have this sort of ruck lineup. But Cherry at 78, just not getting it done for us at this time of year, and it is becoming a bit concerning. But he has obviously had some tougher matchups. I thought the one on the weekend was a bit better, but he just, again, looked pretty sore. He just sort of got, you know, he wasn't looking like he was running freely. So he wasn't really trying to grab the ball out of the ruck as much, not laying as many tackles. Even though I thought he laid 3 tackles in the first quarter alone, he only had, I think 2 registered at the time. So only have 1 tackle for the rest of the game seems very unusual for him. So yeah, I don't know if they're just not counting his tackles as much as they previously did, or maybe he's just not getting as effective tackles as what he's used to. So hopefully he can bounce back. I'm not too concerned at this time to trade him out. Again, I don't think any other ruck has been the smash pick that has made this pick a dud pick as such. As much as he's lost, 124k. So has Max Gorn. Marshall obviously has done very similar in terms of he's dropped out a fair bit, whereas he's dropped 103k as well. So all those top 3 guys have all done very similar. So I all think they've been pretty much the same. It's just about them responding now. Obviously, Cherry probably has the toughest of those runs. Obviously, Wits this week is going to be very tough. And obviously, got Sweet in 2 weeks' time. And then obviously, got the double ruck lineup of Essendon as well. So he does have a very tough run up for the next 5 weeks, particularly, and then it sort of opens up from there, which is all we already knew this before preseason. It's something that was heavily spoken about. So I'm looking at just holding him. I expect him to bounce back and still be a best ruckman in the competition. In fantasy terms, I still think he could be well up there. So I'm not looking jumping off him at any stage at this point in time, unless he's obviously out with injury. Then that's the only point I'll jump off of him. I'm not looking to jump at shadows like I did last year with Rowan Marshall, and he obviously returned to form pretty quickly. So, yeah, I think I'll learn from my mistakes there. Tom de Koning, I think I already spoke about him a little bit, but yeah, he is someone that we need to keep an eye on. Yeah, obviously Pitnet not too far away, so there is plenty of options that we can address when that sort of happens. Obviously, we're looking at Briggs. He's 150k cheaper than what he started at. Tougher matchup this week against Rowan Marshall and then O'Brien next week, but then it does sort of open up a little bit for him, so then we could jump on at that stage, but yeah, it really depends on when Pitner is there. You've also got Sean Darcy, who should be playing this weekend, with Luke Jackson out for a little while with a hamstring injury, so he potentially becomes a bit of an option, but I wouldn't be jumping on him at first week in, just because obviously he's had a lot of injury concerns. And then you've got probably paying up for top dogs like Rowan Marshall probably is the main guy. He's got a pretty healthy run to come for a while, so yeah, he's definitely one I'd consider jumping onto if you just want to set and forget your rucks for the rest of the year, because it's not only going to cost you 70 or 80k to jump off from him next week, I would have thought. So pretty easy going there. Quickly, just finish off on my forward line. I have been blabbering on for way too long already. Jack McRae, 84, disappointing. Anyone that had him as captain would be very disappointed. Only took the 0 marks, is very unusual for him, because he's usually been pretty good at spreading and getting those marks on the outside, but yeah, just wasn't able to do that against Port Adelaide, even though they were beating them quite convincingly all day. It just wasn't able to get those marks, and not as many tackles as expected from him as well, because he is a pretty big tackler. So yeah, it'll be fine. He's still making a huge amount of coin, and he's going to be top 6 forward. Rankin was very disappointed. This probably should have been an 80, obviously, with that non-paid free kick or mark, however way that you look at it. It was either one of those, in my opinion, and he probably would have slotted that for a goal, so consider it an 80. He's not too much of a concern. Obviously, has a bit of a calf issue at the moment. He did say it was a corky, so he should be fine for this weekend, I would have thought, after a few days' rest. They do play Thursday night, though, which is the concerning part of it. The fact that it is just a tight turnaround, so there is a potential that he doesn't pull up quick enough. But yeah, I think he'll be fine to go. He's come out and said that he should be fine. So yeah, hopefully he's good to go there. Good matchup. Juan Francis already spoke about him. He's good to go and potentially a target for people that didn't start him now. Bailey Smith just keeps getting it done. Probably the number one averaging player in the competition right now. He's just getting it done every single week, flying up in coin. Probably just need to back him in as captain option a little bit more often now. I did look at it doing it on the Friday night. I just didn't trust him with the C, and I didn't trust Geelong particularly, just obviously with Bailey Smith's injury history. There was potential that if they were up by too much, then he just could be subbed out or rested a little bit. So I ended up not doing it and just backed in Dawson. Did cost me, what was that? 8 points, but no, 9 points, sorry. But yeah, not too concerned about that too much. I'm glad Dawson got there in the end. Caleb Daniel, disappointing with the 88. He was on like 61 or something at the half. So yeah, only have 27 points in the second half is very disappointing. But yeah, he's doing well enough. He's averaging 102. He's making good coin. No, can't complain too much. Davidson with a 65. He's just killing it at the moment. Yeah. Everyone has him, so I can't preach him too much. But yeah, he is just killing it and being one of the best rookies so far this season. Even though he's only gone 53, 60, and 65, he had that big 125 in there. Just makes his price just skyrocket. He's up to now 500k pretty much with still a -7 break even. Yeah, he's going to be in our teams for a little while longer, I would say. My bench though was pretty poor this week with Joe Berry getting the sub role, so he only scored the 28 after coming on late in that third quarter. He was in my trade plans before all the injury news, so I was looking to jump off him and then upgrade him to potentially a Merrick. But instead, I'll show you my trade real quick. But quickly reviewing my trade from last week. So I did jump off Ollie Hollands. Of course, as soon as I jump off him, he actually puts up a decent score, which is always going to be expected, right? 87, but he did kick 2 goals in that, so I don't think that is going to be consistent. If without those 2 goals, you expected a 70-ish, so yeah, I'm not too worried about that. He's definitely not one that I'd look at again. And obviously jumping off Lucas Camperelli, a red dot, was a pretty good option and got to Christian Moraes and Jake Saligo, so yeah, overall, trades were okay. Definitely could have been a lot better, in my opinion. But yeah, for what I could get to was not too bad. But we'll quickly look at what I'm looking at this week. So I've already done my trades, essentially. But my team value, just quickly on that, team value is at 20.9, 3-4, if you want to get really specific. So it's not too bad. There's definitely a lot of teams that are above my team value. I think someone's even at 21.5 million, so getting a little bit away from me there. But I think for where I'm sort of sitting with my ranking, it's pretty common that this is sort of where you want to be. So I just want to keep pushing that as much as I can. So I have grabbed Riley Bice this week, and that is for Joel Frazier. And I have traded out Nathan O'Driscoll, and I have just grabbed Ryan Marrick. I really like what Ryan Marrick was doing. I was watching him pretty closely on the weekend, and he just has a fantasy mind. Obviously, I think we've all seen the what's it called, the video of him just sort of stepping out sideways in the goal square just to get that extra little disposal. It probably comes up in a bit of a review in West Coast, but he just knows how to rack it up. He's always hunting for the ball, and I just think he's an easy smash pick considering he is priced at 57 at 550k. I see him easily going, 75, so that's close to 20 points, and I think he can probably push 80. You got to think that this score was against GWS, which is a red hard matchup. So, yeah, I expect him to be able to continue to push a little bit higher, closer to the 80s and 90s for sure in the next couple of weeks, where he does have a lot of easier matchups. So, yeah, I'm looking to grab hold of him and just ride the cash gen. I could have gone a lot higher, obviously. If I reverse this trade real quick, it left me with 961k. Couldn't get right to the top. I would probably go with a Brayshaw if I could. At 50k more expensive than what I currently have, just with his decent run coming up, and obviously the matchup against Richmond. He's found some form recently, so that's where I would have gone. I could jump on a chair, but I think he's priced out where he's sort of going to average for the year about that 90 range. So there's no point really jumping on him for 5 points. He'll be a trade out eventually. Tom Power, very similar, even though he's had two down games. Oh, sorry, one down game last week and a disappointing score, I guess you could say, last week. I just don't think he's got much more value in him. And I'm concerned about what happens with Wardlaw coming back in this week as well, so I won't jump on there. I'll wait and see what happens. Will Ashcroft is someone I did look at, but again, priced at roughly, I think it was 90. He's already priced at 90. So, how much more upside do you see? Do you see him going 95? Is that enough? Probably not. You probably want him pushing 100 when considering he's the fourth midfielder at Brisbane behind Neil, Dunkley, and McCluggage. I probably just don't see the world where he goes 100. He would have to push into the midfield more than McCluggage has, but I just don't see that happening at this point in time. So I'm not super keen on him, and I haven't been super keen on him all preseason. I was pretty hot on Holmes last week, and he got absolutely tagged to smithereens, but haven't ruled out jumping on him just as sort of a lock away sort of top 6 defender. I do have some concerns now though, just because he does seem to be copping all the attention when they come up against a tougher opponent. So yeah, that is disappointing to see. And I never expected Melbourne to tag in that game. That was definitely an unseen thing that we hadn't seen before, particularly from Sparrow. Last year they had used Neil Bullen, so I guess it was probably writing on the wall that Sparrow's taken that sort of role, and that's something that we can see in the future. So that's something that we'll have to take into consideration going forward. But yeah, definitely still like what he's able to do. Obviously, in his 2 games that he hasn't been tagged, he's averaging about 110. In his 2 games that he has been tagged, he's averaging 70. So very two different gaps in terms of his scoring potential when he is tagged and when he isn't tagged. So it is a bit of concern, but yeah, he definitely can bounce back this week. So I haven't ruled him out. Will Day is out for 3 to 4 months, which as a Hawthorn supporter is dreadful. This guy can just not catch a break with his injuries, particularly with his feet at the moment. He is unlucky, so hopefully it doesn't affect Hawthorn too much. Neil spent a bit of time on my side this week. I will not lie. I did have him locked away just because I looked at his run. Very good run, as a lot of people know. But I looked at the tags coming his way. Obviously, probably not got anything for the next 2 weeks, and I do think he can go quite well. Maybe cops a little bit of attention from a Kennedy, if anything, this week, but maybe not a huge amount. Obviously, got the Windhager tag in the St Kilda one. Melbourne probably definitely use Sparrow against him. I think that's pretty much locked in now. Hawthorn may use Finn McGuinness on him, or at least run with a Nash alongside him. And then you've got the Bedford tag in the GWS matchup as well. So 4 tags within the next sort of 2-3 months. Is it good enough? Probably not. If it was only 2, maybe I'd do it. But I think when you start to push in 4 or even 5 with the Cats potentially running with O'Connor, he only scored a 91 against them early in the year, then yeah, it starts becoming a bit too skeptical to jump on someone at 933k priced at sort of 95 sort of areas. You need him to put 10 points on top of that to be a worthwhile pick in that time frame. So I just don't know if I see him doing that consistently. He's got to be very up and down. So I've probably just gone the safer option and gone to Merrick at this point in time. Besides that, really, I didn't look at anyone else. Taranto maybe. It just doesn't fill me with too much confidence. He's priced at about the 92 range, I think it is. So again, you probably need him to put 10 points on that to be worthwhile to get 102. I just don't think he's got that ceiling in him. He's not marking at all. He's barely not tackling as much as he probably could. Role is very consistent. So yeah, I just don't know how I feel about that one just yet. But this is not the trade video. I have blabbered way too much on about my trading target. So my trade plans definitely stay the way they are at this point in time. We'll see how things develop. Hopefully no more injury news comes out. But that does leave me with 401k to travel into next week so far. And my plans for next week, I guess diving a little bit into that, would be Tom DeConing going to Rowan Marshall at this stage. I don't know how I feel about Briggs. I'll have to watch him pretty closely this weekend. to see if I want to mess around with going to, another ruckman and having to trade him out again at another stage. I just probably want to lock away with the best ruckman who has the best run coming up. But again, I'll watch to see how he's running and seeing how he's playing. So yeah, that frees up plenty of coin. That only cost me probably about 80k to do that, and then that should leave me with plenty of cash to hopefully upgrade on the other side of maybe a rookie fix up. So maybe jumping off of a Ted Closey, and that may be able to allow me to get up to an 800k player, and then be able to get another rookie off in the midfield, because I am running 5 rookies at the moment, which is probably one too many, especially in the midfield. I probably only feel comfortable with particularly Levi Ashcroft and Lindsay. Fingers crossed Lindsay is back this week. He is listed as a test. So yeah, he should be hopefully back this week. But yeah, that is probably my team review for the week done. Yeah, hopefully you guys did a little bit better than I did and kept moving up in the ranks. And yeah, your team's in a bit better position to move forward and attack this week, because we are in... what's it called? Why have I forgotten? Sickness brain. Upgrade season. That's the one. We're in upgrade season at the moment, so it is time to attack and time to get that money on the field as best you can. So best of luck for the week. Catch you in the next video.